Hey everybody, Cole here with Classic Mini DIY, and on today's episode we are going to be installing the brand new Mk1 Retro Components phone holder. So stay tuned for that. All right, folks, so on today's episode, I've got something a little special for you. Now, for those of you who don't know, I have been carrying Retro Components style dash mounts for quite a bit of time. I have one that is a clock with a USB plug on it, and then there is another one that actually is a phone mount for later style minis. Now, I'm really excited because, well, I have a Mk1, and I haven't been able to use a phone mount in my car aside from the window ones, which I don't love. But Retro Components is officially coming out with a phone mount that goes into the center ashtray on the Mk1 and Mk2 minis. So on today's episode, I'm going to show you guys how to install this little phone mount here. And I am also going to be modifying this a little bit to suit my phone style quad lock locking case. Now, for those of you who don't know, quad lock makes a really cool mounting bracket. And that allows you to quickly lock in your phone on whatever car you're driving as long as you have that base mount. I've been really happy with it. Keep in mind this is not a sponsored video. I just bought these and I really love them. And I have one in my truck. I've got a window mount in my Mini right now. And I'd like to retrofit this Retro Components mount with a quad lock mounting bracket. So not much more to it aside from let's just get into the project and get into the car and install this sucker. All right, so to get started here, we are sitting inside my Mk1. And you can see I've got my little chrome ashtray up there, which has never been used. I'm not much of a smoker. So what we'll be doing is replacing it with this really cool Retro Components bracket here. But in my car, I have this enormous rally dash in front here. So in order to get to this, I do need to remove one of these panels here. And I think I'm going to remove the one on the left side. It has the least amount of wires and it's going to give me the most access up into that ashtray. For those of you who have a Mk1 who don't necessarily have this whole rally dash, maybe you just have the standard center binnacle here, you should be able to reach up and get access to this pretty easily. And depending on how old yours is and how well it's been taken care of and all sorts of different things, this should either come out pretty easily or you might need to push a little hard from the other side here. Now, if you are getting rid of your ashtray here, whether or not you're a smoker, I would strongly recommend keeping a hold of this. I don't think this part is manufactured anymore, and in the event that you ever want to get rid of this or sell the car, it's really nice to have these original parts. Now, installing this is extremely simple. It's got two parts, a bolt here, and it'll come with some small weather stripping that you'll be able to put here to prevent it from rattling at all while it's sitting in place. Unfortunately, I misplaced that, but you'll get the idea. So the way that this works is it gets pressed in like so, and the bracket underneath has a small cutout in it because your dashboard here has a small lip on the inside face that is facing you here, and this will actually notch over that little lip. So first thing I like to do is take the excess USB wiring here that we're going to use for power, and I'm going to run that down and out of the way. This is just going to make our life a little bit easier later because, you know, you only have so many hands to do things. All right, and with those wires in place, you're going to take the bottom side of your mount here. You can see the open cutout slit is going to be facing us. It's going to be on the front side of this dash here. And the easiest thing to do, I have found, is to kind of just finagle your wires off to the right side and take this mount and go ahead and push it right over the lip that's underneath there. Now you'll see that there's a little bit of movement left to right. That's totally normal. And the last thing that we're going to do is take the top end of our mount here. We're going to feed the rest of that wire through while we're starting to thread that bolt. Now I usually start threading the bolt like that, so that the bracket doesn't fall out while we are pulling the rest of this wire through. All right, the last thing that we're gonna do here is go ahead and tighten this up. And once that's tightened, we go ahead and install our little stylish blanking cap here so that we don't see a big bolt right on the top of our dash all the time. And there we go. We have a phone mount installed. Now with that installed, at this point, you could be done. Aside from wiring up the feed for that USB port, you could be finished, and now you have a phone mount right in the middle of your dash here, which is really cool. This is really nice. You know, you can set that up landscape, portrait, however you'd like that. And now you can get yourself turn by turn directions. Your phone's not going to be flopping around everywhere, and it's really nice. Now in my case, I actually bent this bracket just a little bit on purpose so that this could be a little bit higher. Due to the way that my dash is configured, my speedometer sits a little higher, and as a result, I didn't want this to block my speedometer and block the gauges here. So I bent this up just a little bit. Now wiring this is going to be a little bit different depending on every car. Some people have a lot of custom electronics like I do here, and as a result, you might want to power this a different way. In my setup, what I want to do is run these wires to an ignition based setup. So something that is only going to be on when the car's key is turned to accessory. Otherwise, I want this USB port back here to be completely dead and not running. That way I don't run into any sort of weird battery drain issues or anything like that. So I'm not going to cover that portion because that is going to be a little bit different for each car, as I said. But the main takeaway here is that your red wire right here, for those of you who aren't as familiar with wiring, your red wire needs to go to your power source, the positive side. And this is something that you'd want maybe ignition based, so accessory based. And then your black wire goes to an equipment ground, which is usually just grounded to your chassis. Or if you have a ground back here somewhere where all of your other lights and everything get grounded to the chassis, that is where this will go, to a negative source. Now if you got this model phone mount, you're done. This can be plugged in, you can use your charging cable and just mount your phone up there and you're ready to roll. Now in my case, I wanted something a little bit different, and I worked with Retro Components and we came up with a second style of this phone mount. And now this other version that we have here is a 1-inch ball mount version, and the reason I wanted a 1-inch ball, I'm going to show you here shortly, to use my quad lock system. So I'm going to swap this out real quick and I'm going to show you guys the different model. Both of these are going to be available on my store. So if you want to pick up a 1-inch ball model, you can use that, or you can use the standard traditional phone mounting method. So let's swap this out. And there we have it. So now we have a 1-inch ball mount on there. Now with this ball mount in place, it gives us the ability and the opportunity to install different mounting systems that all support a 1-inch ram ball mount. So you can see here, in my case, I was doing this for a quad lock system, and this is just an example of something that you can do. This mount came right out of my truck. It's what I use in my Tacoma for my kind of like everyday driving and all of that stuff here. And you can see that kind of positions it in a slightly different orientation. And the cool thing about these quad locks, they have this proprietary mounting system that you can then push onto your quad lock, clicks into place, and now you have a mounted phone. So you don't have that clamp, you can kind of position it where you want, and it is a lot tighter, a lot kind of out of the way. Now the neat thing about this is that if I wanted to, Quad Lock does offer a wireless charging mount. This mount gets replaced with a wireless charger, and in our case we have this very, very convenient USB port right here. And you can you could get a shorter cable, for example, wire that up to the wireless charger, and boom, every time you get in the car, you click it in, and you've got instant wire-free charging. This would all be kind of bundled up and out of the way. Pretty cool stuff. I'm very satisfied with this. As I mentioned, these are available on my merch store now. You can buy this with either the 1-inch ball mount, or you can buy it with the built-in phone mount that is kind of the standard clamping style phone mount. Now these are produced by a small company called Retro Components, and these are going to ship directly from the United Kingdom. but we do ship worldwide. So anyone in the world can pick these up. If it's something that you want for your Mini, we have these available in Mk1 variants, which is the one you see in this episode, or later style Mini configurations with the mount on the vertical face of your dashboard. So you can choose a phone mount or a clock in that scenario, in that setup. So lots and lots of different options. I'll put links to all of those in my description below. Also, I will post a link to the quad lock style locks if that's something that you want to do. These use a 1-inch ram ball mount style mounting system. They do have various different styles, and these are kind of more of a universal thing made for all different kinds of cars. They kind of started in motorcycles, I believe, but I have been just so happy with this. I can't recommend this enough. But anyways, I won't blab on too long. If you have any questions at all about what I did in this episode, feel free to post those in the comment section below. But until I see you guys on the next one, a huge thank you to Retro Components, and you guys know the drill. Enjoy those minis and motor on.